It's Tuesday, January 28th. Final report. The findings from an inquiry into foreign interference in this country is going to be released today. They'll likely come just months before our next election.
None of these recommendations should go forward without a full public discussion.
Dire warning. Doctors in Alberta say findings in a provincial COVID-19 report could lead to serious consequences.
The release of DeepSeek AI from a Chinese company should be a wake-up call for our industries.
AI shakeup. Chinese company DeepSeek says it doesn't need to spend billions to develop an AI app. Users and investors are taking the claim seriously.
It was a family of 12 had just left 20 minutes before, and, it's Sunday, we're busy up until about 2:30, 3 o'clock.
And a dramatic crash. Keep watching the moments an SUV barreled through the front of a restaurant on Vancouver Island. The owner says it is a miracle one of his employees wasn't killed. Stay with us, Canada. Your morning starts right now. Good morning, Canada. Welcome to Your Morning. I'm Anne-Marie Mediwake.
Oh, I jumped the gun there. Good morning. I'm Lindsey Deluce.
I'm Kelsey McEwen. Hope your Tuesday's off to a great start.
Obviously, our set is decorated beautifully. Happy Lunar New Year. It does look great. We'll get to that corner throughout the show today. Let's get to news. The final report of a public inquiry into foreign interference is expected this morning at 11:45 Eastern. Commissioner Marie-Josée Augue's report is expected to present how Ottawa can better protect our political system from foreign interference. The work of the commission had two phases. The first phase looked into whether interference from other countries affected the 2019 and 2021 elections. The second phase included public hearings with a focus on whether our institutions are capable of finding and fighting foreign interference. The House of Commons also asked the inquiry to investigate an intelligence watchdog's report that some parliamentarians are, quote, semi-witting or witting participants in foreign meddling. Ottawa is reaching out to allies on how to deal with the tariff threat from the U.S.
I'll be talking this week to the British foreign minister. I'll be also talking to key European foreign ministers. I've been in constant contact with also my Mexican counterpart.
Foreign Affairs Minister Melanie Joly will head to Washington this week. She plans to meet with the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio to once again make the case against tariffs. When meeting with allies, Melanie Joly says she wants to discuss how they plan to deal with the tariff threat if President Donald Trump decides to go after them. Meanwhile, Liberal leadership candidate Chrystia Freeland has her own plan to avoid U.S. tariffs. She thinks Canada can scare the U.S. out of the idea. In a statement, she calls on Ottawa to release a list containing $200 billion worth of counter tariffs. Ottawa isn't saying right now which U.S. goods they have in their sights for retaliation. A chaotic end to 2024 for Canada Post has some people calling for the corporation to consider privatization.
90% private, 10% public, maybe 80-20, something like that strikes me as a reasonable approach going forward.
Experts say the benefits of privatization would be a service that's more competitive and could prioritize customer needs. The downside would include the potential for a lack of access to rural and remote communities and potential job losses. Calls for privatization are happening as hearings into the State of Canada Post begin in Ottawa. The Commission is looking into the financial situation, the business model, and workplace practices. A report will be ready by May of this year. Ottawa has already given Canada Post a $1 billion loan that Canada Post says it will repay. Alberta's report on its response to COVID-19 is drawing heavy criticism from experts and doctors.
It contains misinformation, and we all know that misinformation is a huge problem right now, and people die because of it.
The report from a panel appointed by Premier Danielle Smith was released online on Friday. So some of the recommendations include stop giving COVID-19 vaccines to healthy children and teens without fully disclosing the risks, banning mask mandates, giving doctors more freedom to prescribe medication for off-label use. Alberta's health minister says no policy decisions have been made yet as it reviews the report's findings. We're learning more about what happened Friday night after a boat capsized in Halifax's Bedford Basin, killing a Navy weapons technician.
As the rib was en route back to dockyard, an incident occurred which caused the rib to capsize, throwing both sailors into the water.
38-year-old Gregory Applin had been a member of the Royal Canadian Navy for 19 years. He was with another sailor in the rigid hull inflatable boat when it capsized. The two did manage to call 911. They were pulled from the water, taken to hospital, but Applin couldn't be resuscitated. The water temperature was about -10 that night. The two sailors were part of the crew training on HMCS Montreal. It is believed their radio sunk when the boat flipped. The cause of this incident is under investigation. Crews in Quebec are working to get homes and businesses back on the grid after strong winds caused outages across southern Quebec. So at its peak, power was knocked out for 108,000 customers. This morning, there are about 11,000 homes and businesses still without power. So we're talking about areas in Montreal, the Laurentians, among the hardest hit. Crews say the strong winds, well, they're slowing down the restoration work. U.S. President Donald Trump is calling Chinese AI app DeepSeek a wake-up call for American tech companies.
So instead of spending billions and billions, you'll spend less and you'll come up with, hopefully, the same solution.
DeepSeek's AI assistant yesterday passed ChatGPT as the top-rated free app in Apple's U.S. App Store. Its claims have the dominant AI companies and investors pretty nervous. You see NVIDIA stock? It fell nearly 17% during yesterday's trading. The NASDAQ dropped more than 600 points. Now, all of this because DeepSeek claims it can harness the power of AI at a fraction of the cost.
All the assumptions that we've made about how Americans are leading the AI charge have just been blown up by this one single company, this one single product.
DeepSeek claims its latest AI model cost less than $6 million to develop. How they managed to keep their costs so low? Unclear. We don't know. The company says it uses open source information, cheaper chips, though. All this hype also comes with privacy concerns, similar to TikTok, because DeepSeek is a Chinese-owned company. A dramatic scene caught on camera on Vancouver Island Sunday as an SUV crashed through the front window of a restaurant.
These tables turn and they're constantly being seated at. So, an hour earlier, this whole area was full of people. So there would have been serious injuries.
A worker at, whoa. Did you see that? A worker at Ricky's All Day Grill in Courtney is lucky to be alive. Well, you saw why. After being hit by that SUV. So the video you just saw shows it smashing through the front of the restaurant, slamming into some tables. Here you go again. That is terrifying. The owner says it's a miracle one of the workers at the front of the restaurant wasn't crushed and that the car didn't barrel right on through to the kitchen. It's not clear how this crash happened in the first place. Obviously, the investigation is underway. Whoa. Some nervous moments for the people on flights landing in Bilbao, Spain over the weekend because of wind. There's windstorm. Oh, yeah. This is how when I trained flying, we would come in like this a lot because we a lot of the time had crosswind, which was good training. You come in like that, and then so fun. So this was windstorms and rain hitting the Iberian Peninsula. Oh man, that's a rough landing though. Let's watch. Look at that talent. Woohoo!
You clap for that one.